What's up, guys? So today I've got sort of a short video I want to do in between all the other stuff, and it's just a topic that I think is worth mentioning, and that is because I see people talking about this a lot and people seem to have a lot of questions. That is, when is it not a good idea to turn up boost? And of course, since we do a lot of Grand Prix stuff around here, we're mostly going to be talking about dropping pulley size on a supercharger. So let's get into it. So first of all, a little primer, we need to talk about the differences between turbos and superchargers. We're going to leave centrifugal superchargers out of the conversation right now, being that they're a little of both, and I don't want to confuse the topic. But if you know any turbo guys, one of the first things that almost every turbo car does is a boost controller or some way to turn the boost up. Yet when you go on a Grand Prix forum, people are telling you not to drop pulley size. If you don't know why, this video is for you. So first, let's talk about the differences between the two. A turbo controls how much boost it makes by what's called a wastegate and a wastegate actuator. And the way that works is the exhaust coming out of the engine spins the exhaust turbine, and when a certain boost pressure is met, the actuator cracks open the wastegate, allowing gas to bypass the turbine and go out another way, which therefore it doesn't keep spinning the turbo up. If you've ever been in a car with a faulty wastegate actuator or one that will not open, you know that if it doesn't open, the turbo will just spin to infinity, however much boost the turbo is physically capable of making, which usually ends your engine pretty quickly. Now, the great thing about turbos is that since they make boost using waste energy from the exhaust anyway, how fast they spin really doesn't matter very much. It does matter in terms of turbo efficiency and boost lag and things like that, but as far as the engine is concerned, the turbo spinning at a higher or lower RPM really isn't going to affect how much power the engine's making. It's really going to be more about how much it can flow and how much boost it's going to make. Now, in a root style or screw type supercharger setup, it's not the same. The way the root style blower is set up, it does not have an internal pressure regulating device of any kind. It's basically just a function. It is essentially an air pump. It pumps however much air it pumps per RPM times however many RPM it's spinning. The engine, on the other hand, can take in only a certain amount of air. Once the supercharger is putting out more air than the engine can take in, it creates pressure on the intake side. Now that pressure forces a little extra air in, which is where you're getting the extra power. But remember that a supercharger does not run on waste energy. It literally runs on the crankshaft. So the engine is having to put power into the supercharger to make boost and get power back out. So as you start dropping pulley size and the supercharger is spinning faster, that means it's moving more air. At a point, the engine is flowing as much as it can, and the amount of additional boost that it creates has diminishing returns. Because at some point, the heads, the exhaust, the intake manifold, something is going to provide a restriction that's going to severely enough limit how much air can get through it, that the supercharger is just working harder but not accomplishing a lot. And you can kind of see some of this in the 3800s, like the L67s, in their power band. Because if you notice, because roots blowers make boost at such a low RPM, they're making tons of power down low. Then as you get up towards the top, it's really falling off, even though the supercharger is still spinning fast or faster. And the reason is because you're starting to reach the point where the heads are having trouble flowing that much air. So you have to balance flow with boost. You need to get air through the engine to make power, not just continually stack up more unused air on the intake side. Putting it under more pressure will absolutely force a little extra air through. But as you keep going that direction, you're putting more and more energy into the supercharger trying to compress the air, and you're getting less and less additional horsepower out. In addition to that, especially in a stock car, you need to remember this is an unintercooled setup. The supercharger is going to be producing more and more heat as you're spinning it faster and faster. And as you compress gas, air in this particular case, that isn't being cooled, it's going to be warming up more and more and more. So you're increasing things like cylinder temperature, which is going to create additional knock, which can actually make you lose power. So it is possible to jump into a stock L67 powered car, put a little tiny pulley on it, and make less power than you were making before. So when is it a good idea to turn up the boost? Well, what I said, you need to get air through the engine. So you need to be thinking about it from that standpoint. How much air can you get all the way through and out the other side of the engine? So any modification you can do that increases flow is going to make more power. So things like a cam, headwork, rocker arms, headers, exhaust, intake, whatever, anything that helps reduce flow restrictions will allow the air to get out more. And some of these things you may do to a stock engine and actually see the boost fall off. It may drop because the supercharger is not spinning any faster, but since the engine is now able to flow more air, that means less restriction, that means less boost in the top side. But even though it's less boost, it's actually going to be more horsepower. So that's really what it comes down to. If you take a stock L67 and slap a tiny pulley on it, you're not going to make that much more power, or you may make less and you may blow your engine up, because plenty of stock L67s have a fair amount of knock even just in normal stock trim. However, you can take a motor, put a few mods into it, and if you guys are interested, I can put together a things to do before you drop a pulley size video, but I want to do that in a separate video. So if you'd like to see that, drop that down in the comments and I will work on that for you. But you can do these things. You can get the engine flowing more air, see that boost level drop, then drop pulley size. And then since the engine itself is moving more air, when you spin the supercharger faster to get the boost level back up to or a little bit above what it was stock, the volume of air that you're moving through the engine, and that's where your horsepower comes from, is going to be significantly more. So you're guaranteed at that point that you're going to see power increases, as well as efficiency increases, which may help in areas such as reducing knock retard and in reducing cylinder temperatures and things like that. So, final notes, it's not always a good idea just to up boost, and that's true of most things in cars. It's never an idea to just willy-nilly change anything unless you know why you're changing it and what it's going to do. But if you do the correct supporting mods, it will increase power just like it will in a turbo car, but don't judge one by the other. They are kind of different worlds. So, other than that, I got lots more stuff coming out soon. I've been so busy. I've had a really hard time getting some of this done, but I have a lot of stuff, even some body work, which I'm just as scared as you probably are hearing that, but it's going to have to happen. And that's it. So drop me a like on this video. It helps my channel. Drop down in the comments there what you thought of this video and whether or not you want me to do that other one about pulley drops. And if you haven't yet, make sure to look down in the description, check out my Patreon, watch that video, see if you want to consider being one, and check out my shirts for sale on Teespring. This is not one of them, but I have several pretty cool ones out there I've worn in other videos, so check those out. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here for this video, but thank you so much for watching as usual, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!